The countdown is well and truly underway towards one of the most prestigious races on the Hong Kong calendar, the BMW Hong Kong Derby, and already the pieces of the Derby puzzle are starting to come together. Here's what we've got in store on this edition of Hong Kong Direct. We'll be looking back at the first leg of the Classic Series and what was a memorable day at the races for trainer Francis Lui and jockey Vincent Ho with Golden 60. Plus, we'll get to know more about top jockey Silvestre de Sousa in our Weighing In segment. Our guest in the studio this week is David Morgan, an important part of the Hong Kong Jockey Club media team. David, there was no surprise with the Hong Kong Classic Mile result with Golden 60 winning, but he did it in some style.
Yeah, there was a hint of brilliance there, wasn't there? He travelled into the race beautifully and quickened away that explosive burst of speed. And he was really quite cosy at the end. And Quinella in the race as well, too. More than this, finishing off nicely. He looks a nice horse to look out for over the longer distances coming up in this four-year-old series. Yeah, he does. He's got a lot of quality more than this. Stayed on really strongly at the end, seemed to be. Couple of little queries in my mind about him. The way he's... Is he coming into the... When he breaks, is he a little bit lazy? And, you know, how's that going to play out as we go up in distance as the races get a little bit hotter? Coming into the race, it looked like a battle between two trainers, really. Francis Lui and John Size. Francis Lui winning the battle. What did you make of the Size duo, though, of Champions Way and Beauty Legacy? Yeah, Champions Way ran a solid race. I would wonder if that's as good as he is or has he got some more. He certainly improved for each run this season, but he was at such a high mark already, comparatively at the end of last season. With Beauty Legacy, he's the horse with all of that upside. A very impressive performance first up. And he did so many things wrong in that Classic Mile. Joe Moreira was trying to get him to settle. The horse was fighting for his head. He then didn't get the clearest run once he was out in the straight. And you look at him and hope that the Derby isn't going to come too soon, but it might. Yes, the four-year-old series is going to form an important part of our discussion on the show this week. Let's have a closer look, though, at the Hong Kong Classic Mile. And, in fact, on Monday's race meeting at Sha Tin, a big day at the races with Doug Chalmers.
A new wave of equine talent swept across Sha Tin on Monday in the $10 million Hong Kong Classic Mile, where Golden 60 proved that he's one of the most exciting horses in town, unleashing a devastating burst of acceleration to land the first leg of the four-year-old Classic Series.
Now the explosive turn of foot is in here from Golden 60. He's race clear now, more than this, giving chase with Champions Way. He's been the gold standard so far, and Golden 60 stretches his record even further. He's a terrific four-year-old.
Actually, it was a bit keen today, and eventually it took some time to settle him down, and he still got a great turn of foot in the straight, and laid in a little bit, which makes things a little bit harder, but he still won very easy.
It was a Quinella for the Francis Lui stable, as More Than This ran on strongly to grab second placing under the riding of visiting jockey Ryan Moore.
He's a lovely horse, he ran a super race. Stayed on very well. Be delighted with his run today.
After an impressive win at his previous start, fourth place getter Beauty Legacy showed that he's still a work in progress with the manner that he raced in.
Yeah, as I indicated before, he's still doing a lot of things wrong. He's still a little bit immature. I don't think that was a bad result at the end of the day. I think he ran a good race, and he should learn a lot from this.
The middle leg of the four-year-old Classic Series is the Hong Kong Classic Cup over 1,800 metres and will take place on February the 23rd. The Hong Kong Classic Mile wasn't the only feature, though, on Monday's card. Earlier on in the day, Hong Kong's premier middle-distance galloper, Exultant, kicked off his 2020 campaign with a tough victory in the Group 3 Centenary Vase as he prepares himself for a possible tilt at overseas glory.
Exultant in front, carrying the weight of the Sha Tin grandstand. He's back-to-back in the Centenary Vase. Exultant too good.
I mean, leading up to the race, everything went according to plan. Today, I don't think there's any really outstanding oppositions. I was expecting him to win. And if we go on to like last year's same program, next race will be the Hong Kong Gold Cup. Hopefully, we might decide whether we go to Dubai or not. I'm expecting to go, you know. Well, because last year it took, you know, waiting over 2.5 months I mean, that's too long a wait, you know. But I reckon we can, you know, the horse is not getting young too. I think we better make a move to go to Dubai.
OK, so Tony Cruz is pretty keen to travel abroad with Exultant and take him to Dubai for World Cup night. Tony's taken Penaphobia, Bullish Luck in the past. They've both performed well. He's yet to win there. How do you think Exultant would measure up on the world stage?
I would hope he'd measure up really well. He's a high-class horse. We know what he can do here. He hasn't got much more to prove here, if anything. He's pretty much done it all now. So if he could go to Dubai and perform well there, it would be excellent. And he could be joined by a small but select team if the words that we're hearing out of the John Moore camp are going to bear fruit, with Athero possibly going for the sprint, and even talk of Beauty Generation is perhaps back on track for that Dubai race, and Thanks Forever. Yeah,
he was a late nomination for it, Thanks Forever, after his Group 1 placing last time out. When you look at the international bookmakers, they've got Exultant as about a 10 to 16 to 1 chance in Dubai. Gayeth is the favourite for the Sheepman Classic, the race that he would go for. But when you look at his Vars win, he beat Lise Gracheur. That form line's been proven. Voldgeist, form's proven. At his absolute best, he has proven himself against top-class international opposition.
Yeah, and if he takes that form to Dubai, you would expect him to be certainly a top 3 finish, and perhaps he can win it. I mean, Tony Cruz will be going there to win it. There's no question about that, and he's got that quality. We've seen it. The form's rock solid.
And I think we've seen with horses like Beauty Generation that the top horses don't stay at the top all that long. Beauty Generation, as marvellous as he's been, isn't the same horse in 2020 as he was in 2018, 2019. There's sort of that feeling you've got to capitalise when they're at their top, don't you?
Yes, certainly. You're going to look at that with Beauty Generation, for example, and look, well, should they have gone last year? Well, it was the owner's decision, and you can't argue with it because what he did was fantastic through the Champions Mile. But yes, certainly he's not as good as he was, it would appear. And Exultant is in such good form, it seems, that Dubai now would be the right time, you would think.
As far as the Derby picture is concerned, then, from the Classic Mile, Golden 60, comfortable winner. That was him going from 1,400 to 1,600 of the Classic Mile. How do you think he will go stepping up to the 1,800 and the 2,000 of the next 2 races in the series?
Well, this is the big question, isn't it? I mean, he's so good at 1,400. He's clocked, I think it's the 3rd fastest time over 1,400, the fastest winning time in the last 12 years. So he's got that speed. He showed in the Classic Mile. That was no problem. You're looking at the pedigree by Medaglia d'Oro. There are bits and bobs of quality, high-class 10-furlong performers in that family, such as Bos Rasham, Hector Protectus from that family. But the way he races, everyone's always thought he was the miler, and that could be the case. He's got that brilliant turn of foot. The way he won the 1,800, you wouldn't think is going to be a bother. 2,000 metres, who knows?
The way he relaxes in his races is one attribute about him that I really like, because he relaxes, and then when Vincent says, let's go, he responds and puts the race away. He's not one of these sprinter milers that gets too keen and does things wrong but still wins. He's got the right attributes to stay if they get him towards the Derby.
It seems that way, yeah. And I know Vincent's talked about in the past about trying to get the horse to settle and teaching him to settle. And even after that Classic Mile win, where, to all intents and purposes, he did settle, Vincent still said he was a little bit keen early. So if the horse can switch off like he has been doing and the races run to suit, that brilliant turn of foot at the end of 2,000 metres at Sha Tin might be just what you need. I mean, you've got to remember that when we talk 2,000 metres at Sha Tin, it's not like 2,000 metres at Ascot or Newmarket or Sandown in England. It's a flat track, it's an easy 2,000 metres, and often it's not run at a fast pace. So you can get a situation where a horse who's not actually an out-and-out 2,000 metre stayer as such can win those 2,000 metre races because they've got the brilliance to do it and the races run to suit.
Definitely might be class carrying him through. Here's what's ahead then for the 4-year-old Classic Series. We've got the Hong Kong Classic Cup on the 23rd of February over 1,800 metres, and then it all culminates with the running of the BMW Hong Kong Derby, the race that every owner, trainer and jockey here in Hong Kong wants to win. That will be on the 22nd of March. Plenty more to come, though, on Hong Kong Direct. Don't go anywhere. We'll continue our discussion of the 4-year-old series after the break. There'll be more Derby clues, and we'll be catching up with Silvestre de Sousa. Welcome back. You're watching Hong Kong Direct. It's a pleasure to have your company on the show as well, too. David Morgan is our special guest. We're going to be looking at the best of Sha Tin's action on the weekend in a moment. Before we do that, though, let's catch up with three-time British champion jockey, someone who's spent plenty of time in Hong Kong in recent years. It's Silvestre de Sousa.
Hello, my name is Silvestre de Sousa, a former champion jockey in the UK. 3 kids, married, live in UK, and now love my family. He's a jockey, Brazilian jockey, Jorge Ricardo. He's the champion jockey in the world, the number of the winners. He gave me a lot of advice in my early days, so I took everything from him. Different tactical race. I believe the best horses run in Hong Kong, so the competition is very high, so I enjoy it. Dubai World Cup.
African Story's taken the lead. Bucadram battling back, but African Story in the blue of Godolphin is forging clear, and African Story wins the Dubai World Cup.
Working hard, taking nothing personal, and try your best always. Usain Bolt, a champion, and I think Ronaldinho, great sportsman. Alex Badel in Hong Kong, and UK, Martin Dwyer. York, atmosphere, and it's just a different atmosphere, you know, big crowd, it's nice to ride, long sweeping bend and long straight. When I was champion, crown champion jockey in England. Big party.
He would have had a few of those in his career as a jockey then. Great to hear from Silvestre de Sousa. David, from your time working both in the UK and also Dubai, now here in Hong Kong, you would have really seen the journey that Silvestre has taken in his career. What makes him the jockey that you think he is?
He's very well. He's just look at him in a finish. He's so strong, so powerful. There's nothing much in world racing quite like watching de Sousa in full flight, driving that horse to the finish line, and just that dedication, that commitment. If you think when he arrived in Britain, which was foggy memory, maybe 15 years ago, he'd been in Ireland working essentially as a work rider.
Couldn't get it right, wasn't he?
And took a chance, went to I believe it was Dandy Nicholls' yard in North Yorkshire. And he worked his way up that northern circuit. I'm not that I'm biased or anything, but I follow that northern circuit pretty closely. That's my part of the world,
yes.
Yeah. So I remember my uncle always used to back de Sousa when he rode a Mark Johnston runner. He then got in with Mark Johnston, that stable, and it just blossomed from there. And it's always been a mystery. I know he had the Godolphin job for a short while, but it's always a mystery why more big trainers don't put him on really good horses in big races back in Britain.
Yes, we don't see him riding. We see him riding a lot of winners in the UK, but not necessarily the big races.
Not necessarily the best horses.
No.
Yeah, his talent is worthy of that.
Here's what he's done then this season. Sunday's his last day of riding at Sha Tin under this current contract. 14 wins, a strike rate of 10% or close to 10%. Last season he rode 44 winners. He won the International Jockeys Championship. He won the Hong Kong Cup on Glorious Forever. He's done well this season, but what he did last season was always going to be a tough act to follow, wasn't it?
Yeah, last season was pretty phenomenal what he achieved. And it's interesting that he's never satisfied, though. I'm sure he wasn't satisfied with those winners he had last season. He always wants more. He always wants to do better.
Definitely. But when you still think 44 winners, put him in 5th for the title last year behind Zach Purton and Joe Moreira in a season where he wasn't here all season. That was still a tremendous achievement.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And so this season has not been as good, but he still had a solid time here. He's still doing well.
OK, well, the horse that he's staying around to ride on Sunday lines up in the final event, a race where we're seeing 6 horses that are entered for the Derby line-up. Glorious Artist is better known as an all-weather track horse. Savvy 6, Helene leading star, contested 4-year-old classic races in Hong Kong in years gone by. Likewise for Tianchi Monster. Super Oasis and Enjoying are both entered for this year's Hong Kong Derby, as is Columbus County, Butterfield, Savvy 9 and Amazing Beats. So let's have a look then at the race, Dave. Start off with the horses who are potentially going to be running in the Hong Kong Derby. The former New Zealand galloper, Super Oasis. He's had a few runs here. What do you make of what he's done so far after he arrived here with an Australian Derby placing and 2 Group 2 wins from New Zealand?
I think so far what he's done has been pretty positive. With all of these horses going towards the Derby, you want to see them improve each run. And last run was good. We know that the distance is not a problem. And going forward to the Derby, we know that 2,000 metres is not going to be a problem. And you would hope that from his last run to this one, you're going to see improvement again. And I think he's doing well.
John Moore's won 6 Hong Kong Derbies. This is potentially his last. In this year's race, or in this race on Sunday, he's got Savvy 9, who put in a massively improved run at Happy Valley last time out. Also Enjoying, who arrived here with big raps from Australia. Yep. Of those two, who do you lean more towards?
I would lean more towards Enjoying. His last run, he was very unlucky. You see him go for that run, it doesn't quite open, he has to force through, and the winner had gone, and he ran on really strongly. He's a horse that you would be disappointed if he's not right there in this race with the Derby in mind. With the other horse, Savvy 9, he's, like you say, his last run was much improved. My concern with him is that he came here, he raced at Chartin, then he went on the all-weather track, then he went to Happy Valley. He's a French bred. He raced in France, even though he was trained by William Haggis in England. And the concern for me is he a horse that really wants a little bit of juice in the ground? If so, will this fast track at Chartin just find him out a little bit?
Yes, we have seen that with former European horses in the past, the likes of Helene Charisma. Enjoying the comments from John Moore this season or this week have been quite interesting about him. This is a horse that Silvestre's riding. He's extended his contract to ride him on Sunday. John saying that he's learnt now how to ride the horse based on conversations with his former trainer in Australia. Get back, relax, charge home. We've seen that in a recent trial. So he just might have got his head around what they need to do with Enjoying.
Yeah, and I guess the problem with that is if that's the way they're riding him, you need to get the look as well. And he's drawn 12, so we know what he's going to do. He's going to go back, and it's where he's going to slot. And will he get the split when he needs it? But yeah, he's certainly a much more relaxed horse. On his last run, it was a much improved effort. And if he can improve again, we're then talking about a Derby horse.
Columbus County's one horse I'm quite keen on in this race. He's had 2 runs. There was a bit of a break between the first and the second run because he had a setback. He was unlucky last time out. I think the form behind Pressure Ship should stack up pretty well. Yeah,
that form's solid. And like you said, he got that check. It was about 300 metres out. If you watch that back, he gets checked at just the point when Pressure Ship's accelerating. So in effect, he probably loses a couple of lengths before he's regathered himself and quickened, and he's closing on the winner at the end, which, looking at this race and then looking at the Derby again for that extra trip, we know from his previous form in New Zealand, he does stay a trip. So he can only get better, you would hope.
Yeah, I thought he had the profile of a pretty progressive horse that arrived here from New Zealand. His 2 runs have been good. Zach Purton rides, he's drawn well, so there's plenty to like about him. Butterfield came here as a dual Group 1 winner from Brazil. The horse like Amazing Beats has already won a Derby, albeit a Tasmanian Derby. They're towards the bottom of the weights. Are they in with a hope?
Looking at this race, maybe not yet. Butterfield looks to me like he's just a little bit one-paced. He's won over 1.5 miles in Brazil, probably wants a bit further. Amazing Beats. For me, he was just a little bit flat last time. He needs to pick it up again and show that he's on the right trajectory.
So 6 horses in this race that we've touched on that are potentially hoping to get to the Hong Kong Derby towards the end of March. Do one of those 6 win, though, on Sunday, or is it one of the more experienced horses, a horse like Nakoni Express, that's the one to be looking out for on the weekend?
I'm looking at, of all of those horses, I'm looking at Columbus County. He's the one I would look at and hope that he's going to take that step forward. Like I say, he lost that ground at a vital moment against Pressure Ship and ran on strongly. He's the horse I would hope can come out of that, and possibly he would be my pick to win.
OK, final question then for you as far as the 4-year-old series is concerned. Did we see the winner on Monday, or were we going to see it on Sunday? Gut feeling at this stage.
In the last 20 years, you've had 4 winners of the Classic Mile have won the Derby, 4 horses that finished second in the Classic Mile have won the Derby, 10 horses that didn't compete in the Classic Mile have won the Derby. So This year, I'm looking at it and probably thinking that those first 4 home in the Classic Mile, that's good form. The quality horses, and the rest are really playing catch-up. I don't think we've got a Ping Hai Star this year. Could be wrong. Something could really improve. But from what we've seen so far, Golden 60, More Than This, Beauty Legacy would be the 3 that I have on top at the moment. As being the 3, one of those 3 is the likely Derby winners. All right, well, it's always a fascinating time of year trying to figure out this Derby puzzle. That's the highlight then on Sunday of a 10-race card. First event is due off at 12:15. Trackside Live coverage gets underway at 11:45. Then on to Wednesday night racing for an 8-race card, the City Circuit at Happy Valley, where the Craigengow Cricket Club Challenge Cup is our trophy race. And then Saturday racing for the first time in the month of February, with Trackside Live coverage getting underway at 11:45. If you want to follow all of the lead up towards the BMW Hong Kong Derby and everything else that's going on here in Hong Kong racing, go to the website and you'll be able to catch David's reports. David, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thanks very much. We're going to leave you on the show this week by looking back at one of the memorable editions of the Hong Kong Derby. We're going back to 2011, the edition won by champion galloper Ambitious Dragon. Thanks for your company. We'll see you next week on Hong Kong Direct.
Guillon standing high in the irons on Ambitious Dragon, the short price favourite. He's got 3 runners behind him. Let Me Handle It, Fat Tuilala and Free Judgment being stoked up by Deleuze as they lead the back straighter. And it's Mark up in front of Handsome Zulu. Extension and Treasurelands are next down the side of the course. Military Move just shading Seamos. Then Outdoor Pegasus, Victor Delight, Little Bridge still 3 wide. Ambitious Dragon just strung up behind them for the time being, with Jacoby moving up the outside. Let Me Handle It pushes to the outside. Fat Tuilala got a check. So did Free Judgment as they swing for home in the 2011 Derby. And Extension, Jeff Lloyd makes his move, and quickly Extension darts clear. Seamos coming out of the pack together with Ambitious Dragon, who lays in, but he goes after Extension, and wide out Let Me Handle It. It's Extension being tackled and headed by Ambitious Dragon, and the favourite draws clear. Let Me Handle It goes to 3rd, but what a great season Ambitious Dragon's having, and there's Derby glory.